I don't get that shit. Alright. Stupid motherfucking camera just shuts off and calls it economy mode. Who asked you to put it in economy mode? Not me. I didn't put it in economy mode.
Just go for it!
Hey everybody, it's me, your buddy Dave, host of The Dark Stuff, here with take 2 of this video because my camera went into something stupid called fucking economy mode and just shut down, and then the video didn't even save. So like, I don't even understand what happened there. And then I start, anyways, whatever. This is take 2. It's gonna be a quick one. I just want to show a couple things I picked up recently because my next video is gonna be the best of 2018, and you know how I am with those videos. I throw myself into it. I put a lot of shit in there. It takes a long time, so it's going to be a little time intensive. So I just want to get this stuff out there. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to mention it until next year, and I'd probably just end up forgetting. Okay, I'm going to start with something a little atypical for my channel. I don't usually I don't take the time, or waste the time I should say, on this channel to bash records or to say that I don't like something. I want to take my time to cover stuff I do like for the most part. And but I'm going to go out of that little frame for this to talk about this new record from the Smashing Pumpkins, okay? This is the new 2018 release from the band, Shiny and Oh So Bright Volume 1 LP, no past, no future, no sun, no good. Okay, this thing is a dog. It is a 0.0.
Mr. Blutowski. 0.0.
I don't know what happened to these guys. I don't know what happened to the Smashing Pumpkins. Well, I know what happened to the Smashing Pumpkins. Gish is one of the greatest albums I've ever heard. It's in my catalog. I've bought expanded editions, I've bought bonus versions, I've bought every 12-inch from that period, every extra track. That Pisces Iscariot thing, which has outtakes from that, is fantastic. That is a brilliant that record that can never be taken away from Billy Corgan. I just think he's never done anything even remotely close to that again. And now getting 3/4 of the old band back together is just not good enough to save this piece of shit.
That is one big pile of shit.
I've seen it all before, and I won't feel sad at all when the hero takes a fall. When the hero...
Okay, so the first record I'm happy to talk about is the 3x4 collection featuring the Bangles, the 3 O'Clock, the Dream Syndicate, and Rain Parade. All of these bands are late 70s, early 80s bands from Hollywood who part of them formed what was known at the time as the Paisley Underground. It was an offshoot of the punk scene in Los Angeles, from what I understand. There were bands that were more obsessed with the 60s, and they were not hardcore or anything like that, or really part of the punk scene, only in the sense that they were more independent-minded. So it featured the really early version of the Bangles when they were called the Bangs, and they still had their original bassist, Annette, who returns to play on these tracks because Michael Steele is no longer participating in anything with the Bangles. She's gone.
Told you so. Something gets my eye and I don't let go. And it's stories and words. They're here and gone.
So what this record does is each of the bands, the 3 O'Clock, Rain Parade, Dream Syndicate, Bangles, cover each other's songs. So they each get to do songs by the other band. And as you know, me being obsessed with the Bangles, I had to get it, and was most excited about their contribution, although Dream Syndicate is one of my favorite bands, so I was excited to see them too. I'm not familiar with the 3 O'Clock or the Rain Parade. I only know them by name, so I can't really comment on much, except that they do versions of Dream Syndicate and Bangles songs, and those are cool, but I really don't know how the covers of their songs compare, because I'm just not familiar with it. The Bangles do That's What You Always Say, which is one of my favorite Dream Syndicate song is one of the best songs of the 80s, no doubt. And they do a good version, not a great version, they do a good version. The other two songs, they do Jet Fighter and Talking in My Sleep. Those are really nice versions. Maybe that's what you always say if it had featured a Susanna vocal a little more prominently. I think it's a Debbie Peterson vocal, so that's just my preference, you know. The Dream Syndicate, though, does the coolest track on here, and that is they cover Hero Takes a Fall by the Bangles, which is the Bangles' first national single. It's probably their best song. It's on their debut album, and what I learned from reading the liner notes to this record is that song was about Steve Wynn. Okay, he was the hero that needed to take a fall. Like, I never knew that in all my knowledge of the Bangles and the trivia of the 80s music and stuff. I had no idea that that's who that song was about. Just completely went over my head. Never knew that. Nice bit of knowledge to know, and it's funny that now, 35 years later, Steve Wynn is sitting there covering a song that was sort of a diss on him. So I picked up this collection, Iggy and the Stooges Rare Power, which features, again, outtakes from Raw Power. All this stuff, I feel like, has been released in one way or another in the past, whether through legit or bootleg forms. You know, when it comes to Raw Power, I mean, this features the original mix. This is called the Legacy Edition. It's a 2-disc set that features the original mix by David Bowie as disc 1. Disc 2 is them live in Atlanta in October 1973, and then 2 bonus tracks that they claim are from CBS recordings, and then a bonus track from outtake from Raw Power. That's what these 2 songs are. Doogie Man, Head On, the one at the end. Others are different. You know, this is the alternative Iggy mix. Well, the entire album was an alternative Iggy mix when it came out this way, remixed by Iggy Pop. Okay, this came out in 1997, and I think improves upon Raw Power. A bunch of babies got all butthurt about it and whined that it wasn't the original mix, and oh my God, we can't touch what David Bowie did. Well, David Bowie's fucking awesome. He did a shitty mix on Raw Power. I'm sorry, it sounds like shit. The guitars are way down. The bass is almost non-existent. It's just not that good, you know? This is way more balanced. So this is an improvement. So anyways, I guess this is a long way of saying that some of this stuff is not exactly what it appears. I don't think it's intended to like fool you, but if you have a lot of Iggy Pop stuff, I mean, you kind of have heard a lot of that before, but whatever. It's a cool collection. I like the cover. A lot of that stuff comes from like Bomp Records. And this is a compilation I got called The Best of Bomp. And this features bands like the Flamin' Groovies and stuff like that. A lot of Lost Garage stuff. What a lot of people didn't know was back in the 80s, the 70s and 80s, when Iggy Pop was like really drugged out and needed money all the time, he would like sell Stooges music, unreleased tracks, to this Bomp guy, and then they'd put it out as a bootleg, and then they would split the money because that's what Iggy needed the money and stuff. I think this was revealed many, many years later or whatever. That's why there's so many different Iggy tracks that used to come out and all these Bomp, live tapes and live recordings of the Stooges that it's like, where'd you get this stuff? Well, it comes from Iggy Pop himself. He just used to deny it for a long time. Like this one has I Gotta Write, Iggy and the Stooges, which is post Raw Power. It was for a whole other album that they were doing. On there, it calls it a Raw Power outtake. See, so I don't know, just little shit like that. It's like, it's confusing as to what's what. Okay, I picked up a copy, another copy, I should say, of Autolux's third album, Pussy's Dead. This came out a couple years ago in 2016, and I got this one basically because it was discounted from $25 to $15, far more reasonable. I already had the CD. It was a big record for me in 2016. I love Autolux. It was just too much for me to pass by. It was in the discount bin. I probably could have waited another 6 months or a year, and it would have been there and would have been $5 cheaper, but like, I'm gonna go ahead and get it. And then the last thing I picked up is just the Smiths, Strange Ways, Here I Come. I'm a total latecomer to the Smiths. Back in the 80s, I hated them. I didn't like it at all. Never was a Morrissey fan. I started coming around on Morrissey with some of his solo stuff at one point because I liked the sort of the harder edge guitars that he would put on some tracks, because I thought, I don't know, I didn't like Johnny Marr for some reason. Now I love Johnny Marr. And so I'm moving back into the Smiths. I'm starting to get this one. I know this is kind of later and some people write this off, but it had a lot of really good stuff. And I'm gonna, I'm not gonna probably start doing videos about the Smiths because that's not gonna happen. But I am, expanding my interest in that band and delving a little deeper than just having like a best of, which is how I've survived for the last 30 years, just like a 20-track best of the Smiths disc. Anyways, everybody, the next time you see me, it will be for the top 20 of 2018 video. Until then, my friends, take care.